In this episode, we're going to try a little something different. We're going to take a look at the documentary The Hollies, Look Through Any Window. Don't go away. Well, hi there. Thank you for visiting Rock Hard Riffs. This is the guitar channel for the self-taught. We also do cool Beatles stuff and now other cool rock and roll stuff also. Again, as you know, today we're going over The Hollies, Look Through Any Window, 1963 to 1965. This is a DVD. It has 22 complete performances on it. A lot of them are live performances. The majority are live performances. So it's really interesting documentary. Now we ask folks, if you've been watching our Beatles stuff or guitar stuff and you like that, you like this Hollies kind of thing, you want to see more of it, we ask if you would please subscribe. That way we know that what we're doing interests you and you want to see more of it. So we would greatly appreciate your subscription. Okay, now first off, I have to make an obvious claim. I am not a movie critic. So I'm hoping this doesn't come across as if I'm some type of movie critic, which I am not. So, and now I'm going to read to you what is on the back of the DVD package. You're looking at a photo that's on the back of the little insert that's on the inside. It's like a liner notes kind of thing. So let me read this to you really quickly. The Hollies were one of the most beloved rock groups of the 60s and 70s. The first official retrospective features 22 complete performances filmed between 1963 and 1975, spanning their entire hit-making career. New interviews with band members Graham Nash, Alan Clark, Tony Hicks, and Bobby Elliott tell the fascinating story of this group whose stellar musicianship and beautiful vocals thrilled millions of fans and influenced generations of new bands. Okay, so that's a little bit about the Hollies there. Now, one interesting tidbit, and it was something that I had always thought, was that the Hollies really primarily got most of their influence and their name, the idea of a real tribute to Buddy Holly and the Crickets, so they called themselves the Hollies. Not so much. In reality, they were more big Everly Brothers fans. And that's primarily Graham Nash and Alan Clark. They loved the big harmonies and they were trying to emulate, in a way, the Everly Brothers. But how they got the name Hollies was that they liked Buddy Holly. They were forming a band. They didn't have a name. They liked Buddy Holly, and it was Christmas time. They thought, well, there's Holly, so let's call ourselves the Hollies. And they were really nonchalant about calling themselves the Hollies. So, kind of interesting tidbit there. If you've seen this, you'll know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't yet seen it, then you'll dig it. Now, I wish I could play tidbits of this for you, but for certain obvious reasons, I just can't. I want to keep my channel going. I don't want any strikes against my channel. So that is the story behind the name of the Hollies. Now, they went through several different players, especially later on, but they had changed drummers early on. Then kind of midway on, they changed bass players. And their original bass player was Eric Haydock. And I'm pointing him out because that guy was an incredible bass player, an awesome bass player. This is the inside of the DVD, by the way. And this is the DVD itself right there. And he played a 6-string Fender bass. And I just really wanted to point him out because I was really impressed with his playing. So now we'll take another gander at some more stuff here. Now I would like to read to you the insert, first main paragraph that's on the insert that's on the inside of the DVD. And I'm going to show you the whole thing in a minute, but I just wanted to read this to you. Very interesting. And the print on this, when I show this to you, is just ridiculously small. But anyway, this is called Through the Window by Ben Fong Torres. And he says something like this. The Hollies may not be top of the mind when it comes to the bands of the British invasion, but they were top of the pops, top of the charts around the world, and top of the scale when it came to thrilling three-part harmonies. From the fumes at the bus stop to the air that I breathe, the Hollies were a major force in rock music. Known more for infectious, hook-laden songs that were well sung and played than for experimental or edgy materials, the Hollies worked and played in the shadows of the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and others. It's notable that they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2010, 22 years after they first qualified for induction. Personally, I am very surprised by that. Very surprised. Okay, I'll keep going. But there's no need to pity the Hollies. They had more than their share of hits, and more than many of their brethren, besides their bestsellers in the United States. Bus Stop, 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 On a Carousel, and Carrie Ann, and those are just the hits before Graham Nash left in late 1968. They had 11 charted singles in the UK before breaking through in America. Once they did, they were regulars on Top 40 radio and lasted longer than most of their fellow British invaders. Even after Nash left to become part of Crosby, Stills and Nash, the Hollies carried on. They scored with He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother early in 1970, reached number 2 in 1972 with Long Cool Woman, and visited the top 10 once more in 1974 with the ethereally gorgeous, The Air That I Breathe. For all their successes, the Hollies maintain a low profile. They didn't have much of an image. As Alan Clark, the co-author and lead singer, notes, they weren't the Stones, guys that were always doing the wrong things, and they weren't the Who were known for their throwing drums off stage, smashing guitars and things like that. They had something different. All we had was being who we were, which was the Hollies and the Hollies sound. It was Nash and Clark who started what would become the Hollies. Born only 2 months apart in 1942, they were friends in elementary school in Manchester, England, where their common interest in music led them to team up as the Two Teens. Graham learned rudimentary guitar, and Alan sang. They began playing pubs, nightclubs, dance halls at age 14 and became local favorites. That really sums it up. That was really well written. I just completely agree with that little statement there. Okay, let's take a look at the inside of the insert that comes with the DVD. Again, you can see, look at the print. It is just incredibly fine print. Here's the list of the songs that in order that are on there, and I have to say to you guys that some of the stuff, I'm not going to interject too much opinion on this. Some of the stuff was kind of hit and miss. But I'll tell you, there was one song early on that they did in 1963 called Little Lover that is on this. It's they do like a video, like an MTV type video for that song, Little Lover. Man, was that a rocker. What a rocker. I'm surprised they didn't have a bigger smash with that one. But anyway, that's right there, number 4. My apologies. So again, here's the inside. Let's take a look at what we have going here. Again, this ridiculously fine print. Some cool photos. That's really neat. Let's take a look at that for a second. I'll give you a few seconds to look at that. Now this documentary is pretty much filmed just like a documentary, pretty much like you would expect. It's well done. There are parts of it that it's like a roller coaster a little bit, but the highs aren't all that high, but some of the lows are pretty low, I've got to say. Again, I don't want to interject too much opinion. I love the Hollies. Obviously, the introduction to my channel that you hear at the beginning is, so. But they just were not the Beatles, and they talk about that. We're going to talk about that in a second. In fact, Alan Clark had a very interesting comment about that. So again, here's more of the inside. He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother. Little producer's notes. And then again, the back of it. So again, this quote by Alan Clark was really interesting to me. He said that, well, we aren't going to be the Beatles, so we just kept on being the Hollies. And I thought that was a very insightful quote, in my opinion. Now, something very interesting too, Alan Clark wrote the guitar part in the song, most of it, and I think somebody helped him with the lyrics, but he wrote most of the song of Long Cool Woman. And the original guitar player had a little bit of tough time to playing it, so he didn't play it. It was Alan Clark that played it instead of Tony Hicks, which I thought was interesting. So again, folks, that's pretty much it. I really did enjoy this. If you're a big Hollies fan, of course you've got to have this if you weren't aware that this existed, or if you're just into British invasion stuff and you just want to learn more about what was going on. This is really a good documentary. It's very interesting. Some of their best stuff was done after Graham Nash left, but they had some really, really good stuff before that too. You know, so that is the Hollies. Now, I hope you enjoyed this this video. Again, I am not a movie critic. I don't make any type of claim to be any type of critic, so just wanted to show you the facts if you weren't aware of this movie. So, all right, folks, we thank you for watching. And we certainly will see you next video, and that's if you subscribe. Thank you.